So Airbus Corporate Jets has recently commissioned research on how hedge funds and private equity firms are using corporate aviation. What are some of your findings?
Well, as you know, Matthias, it's very important for us to understand what's happening on the market. It's important to understand what clients and potential clients are looking for from their private jets. So we have recently commissioned a leading independent research company called Pureprofile, maybe you know it, to see how major hedge funds, actually US hedge funds and private equity firms use business aviation and how they intend to use it in the future, so how this is changing. So actually the key findings include some interesting numbers and figures. Well, first of all, private equity firms and hedge funds plan to make a greater use of business aviation. Nearly all of them, all of the US hedge funds and private equity firms we surveyed, they are also open to use business aviation for charitable and humanitarian purposes. If we look at exact numbers, 96% of them expect to upgrade to better or newer models within the next 5 years. Actually, most of them, all of US private equity and hedge funds surveyed who charter business aircraft, they say that they are focusing more and more on chartering newer and more efficient jets. Again, if we go back to figures, another 96% of them say that they would be prepared to increase their travel budget for business aviation to enable their flights using SAF, which is great news for the environment and sustainability purposes. So two-thirds or nearly two-thirds of them say that they would be prepared to increase their budget by at least 25% to ensure they can make use of SAF more or actually more fuel-efficient aircraft. And about one-third, exactly 36%, say that they would be prepared to increase by at least 50%. So this is important, and it's great news for Airbus, as sustainability and SAF is at the heart of the purpose of our company and our strategy.
Why do you actually think hedge funds and private equity firms are making greater use of business aviation?
The use of private aviation or business aviation is mostly made for flexibility reasons, for efficiency reasons, for comfort reasons, so on and so forth. However, when we did this survey with these organizations, when asked why they expect their organization will make greater use of business aviation, the answer was 71% say that it is because of increased focus on flexibility when it comes to business travel, which is quite understandable. About nearly half of them, so 48% of them, highlight the improving technology on board the aircraft. I'm thinking about connectivity maybe. This is probably one of the reasons. And nearly the same number, they cite the growing focus on the well-being of their staff, of their partners. Other reasons cited for why hedge funds and private equity firms plan to make greater use of business aviation include, of course, an increased focus on security these days and growing travel requirements of their own staff.
Now that's interesting. How do you see hedge funds and private equity firms actually use corporate aircraft, business aviation, to support their philanthropic efforts? And how, let's say, over the next couple of years, do you see that changing or developing?
96% of US hedge funds and private equity firms who use business aircraft are open to using them for charitable and humanitarian purposes. Actually, we just had a demonstration of that a couple of weeks ago in the hurricane that happened in the US, where, again, the use of business aviation was put forward for humanitarian reasons. Going back to the statistics, or to the results of the survey, 60% they say they support local or national charities by providing them with some access to their aircraft. And nearly the same number claim that they support the Corporate Angel Network, which is a US-based 501 non-profit organization that helps cancer patients access the best treatment by arranging free travel on their corporate aircraft. Some of them as well cite that They provide access to their aircraft during a crisis situation, such as humanitarian relief or emergency evacuations. I've mentioned the hurricane, and it's a typical example. But another interesting figure is that over the next 3 years, 85% of these US-based private equity firms and hedge funds, which we surveyed, say that they expect the use of their business aircraft for good causes to increase. And this is, for me, it's a very positive sign.
So Chadi, you're an insider. You were probably not surprised to find that a lot of companies, hedge funds and private equity firms and from other sectors are now looking at upgrading their business aircraft. What do you think drives that, right? Please explain that to us.
Well, not really. Why is that? Because generally speaking, we have noticed over the past years a trend of people going for more larger planes. This explained why many OEMs have launched larger and larger cabins in the recent past. Similarly, with a new business aircraft such as our own ACJ TwoTwenty recently launched, offering greater levels of efficiency, comfort and performance, we're not surprised to see so many hedge funds and private equity firms considering upgrading their business aircraft to larger models. Moreover, our survey reveals that 69% of private equity firms and hedge funds cite a growing focus on operational costs as a reason for wanting to upgrade their business aircraft, followed by nearly half of them who say it is because newer, more fuel-efficient models have been launched. Other reasons cited in the survey for wanting to upgrade include the need for larger aircraft as more staff at private equity firms and hedge funds are using business aviation, and the need for larger aircraft with greater range. Range is also an important factor. We at Airbus, and more specifically ACJ, offer a range of large business jets, from the 220 up to the 350. And our recently launched ACJ TwoTwenty is actually carving out a whole new segment and a whole new market segment, which we call the Xtra Large Bizjet. The ACJ TwoTwenty simply offers twice the cabin real estate compared to similarly priced business jets with market-leading fuel efficiency and unrivaled reliability. It occupies the same parking footprint as competitive jets and can take off from the same airports, which is extremely important in terms of operations. But the ACJ TwoTwenty operating costs are 30% lower than the competition. Similarly priced, twice the size, same parking space for 1/3 less operating cost. This is a great value proposition. Now, finally, talking about the range, because it's important, it's got 5,650 nautical miles, so roughly 12 flight hours. The ACJ TwoTwenty can meet actually the requirement of 99.9% of all US departures, connecting many city pairs, including, for example, LA to London, Miami and Buenos Aires, or, for instance, New York to Istanbul. Finally, another important factor of the 220 is that, as with all the ACJ aircraft, the ACJ TwoTwenty is capable of flying with up to a 50% blend of kerosene and sustainable aviation fuel, while keeping to the technical specifications of Jet A. Actually, all Airbus commercial aircraft and helicopters will be capable of operating with 100% SAF by 2030. This capability will play a very important role in the sector's decarbonization journey. Well, Matthias, welcome to our creative studio here in Toulouse, ACJ Creative Studio. And I just wanted you to experience a little bit the space that you can enjoy on board an ACJ TwoTwenty. So this is typically the additional space that you can enjoy on board this aircraft. Twice the cabin space as compared to any competitive aircraft at a similar price. and with 30% lower operating costs. So I really hope that one of these days you will be able to experience this for yourself in real.
Yeah, it feels terrific, almost like a real commercial jet, right? So I really look forward to flying one of these. Thank you very much, Chadi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.